All right, second unit. So today we're going to be adding and subtracting integers. Now remember, an integer is any positive or negative whole number and 0, okay? So 0 or any positive or negative whole number. First definition, an algorithm. So an algorithm is a plan or a series of steps for doing a computation. So an algorithm could be what is programmed into a computer to run your apps, what's programmed into a calculator to run your computations. Okay, it's just a series of steps. So you guys go through algorithms when you solve longer problems. And we'll talk about that later on. Additive identity. So the additive identity property basically says that if you add a number and 0, the sum of 0 and any number is going to be the number, okay? Basically what it says is if I take 1 and I add 0, 1 keeps its identity and just stays 1. 15 plus 0 is 15. I know you know how to do this. I'm not questioning that. What I want you to understand is that this idea that a number plus 0 is the number is called the additive identity, okay? Absolute value. Now we went over absolute value in the last lesson. We talked about how absolute value means the distance that a number is from 0. So the absolute value of -7 is 7. And the absolute value of +7 is 7. Okay? So the absolute value of a number is literally the distance from 0. So what would the absolute value of 0 be? It would be 0. Good. Here's another property. This is called the additive inverse. So what the additive inverse says is that if I take two opposite numbers, remember an opposite set of numbers is the positive version and the negative version. So 3 and -3, 5, -5, 7, -7, 2, -2. So if I take two opposite numbers and I add them together, I'm going to get 0. Okay, so in this case, -7 and its opposite, which is 7, because they're both the same distance away from 0, if I add these together, I get 0. So why does that work? Well, if I take, where am I going? If I take a number like 10 and I add -10, if I have 10 on a number line, that's me saying if I start at 0, which is where I should always start, I'm going to go 10 places to the right. And if I am going to -10 from 0, I am going 10 places to the left. Okay, so this is -10. This is +10. Well, what ends up happening is, if I'm walking, let's say that my starting point is 0. If I start walking, I'm going to get, and I don't need to write down the other one. If I start walking, let's make me green. And I walk, I'm literally going 10 places to the right. That's where I got 10 from. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have to turn around because I'm adding negative 10, and I'm going to go into the opposite direction. So now I'm going to go back 10 spaces again, and I'm going to end up back at 0. Okay, I'm going to end up back at 0. So that's the additive inverse property. A number plus its opposite is 0. Adding integers with like signs. So, same sign. We're going to call this triple S. And yes, I just made that up for today. Awesome. If I add any numbers and they have the same sign, meaning 10 plus 10, they're all positive. Let's say I add 5. 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 5 is 25. You should all be able to do that. Now, same thing happens if I change all of their signs so that they all still have the same sign, but now they're all negative. Okay, this now says negative 10 plus negative 10 plus negative 5. Well, if I'm thinking about this, I could think about it as taking the absolute value of all of these. Okay, the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Well, 10 plus 10 plus 5 we already solved is 25, and since they all have the same sign, we keep that sign, and it is negative 25. Now, if you want me to show you how that works on a number line, it's going to look like this. Let's make the number line blue. Here's 0. Here's negative 10. Here's 0. Here's negative 10. Here's 0. And here's negative 5. Okay. Well, to go from 0 to negative 10, we're going to the left 10. And the same thing happens here. We're going to the left 10. And then when I go to negative 5, I'm going to the left 5. Well, if I think about what's happening, remember, addition just means that I'm piling on more of something. So if I've got this number line and I extend it as far as I can, and here's 0, first thing it says is to go, we're looking here, negative 10. Well, we showed here that we've got negative 10, which means move to the left 10. Then we have another negative 10, which we showed right here. And that means go to the left 10 again. Okay, now guess where we are. That's right, we're at negative 20. And then finally, we're told to go to negative 5, which was shown right here, which clearly says to go to the left 5. And now we are at negative 25. Okay, and I don't like how that looks, so let's erase that and let us now make it negative 25. Okay, so the answer is negative 25. Now, I don't care whether you use this method where you understand that the same signs you're just going to add and then keep the sign. Okay? Or if you use the number line method. Now, when we start making bigger equations, this number line method is going to be more tedious. So understanding what happens here is still very important. So just to summarize,